Yes. Montreal, my city.
Good morning.
Oh, bro. I thought this was never going to happen. Shout out to Maggie for putting this thing together. We send emails, we send press kits. We never know who's going to come. Oh, boy. Let's intro this woman right here, the honorable here. She's the first black woman to lead a provincial party in Quebec. She's the first person of Haitian descent to be a cabinet minister in Canada. I'd like to introduce you to the Morning Detour, Quebec Liberal leader, Dominique Anglade. How you doing, Ms. Anglade?
I'm doing well, and I'm so happy to be with you this morning.
So
great to see you. And the place is great as well.
I was just about to say that. You were looking at the shoes. Did you see one that you liked?
Yes, many. Like which one did I was looking at it from outside, and I'm like, I like this one, the green and the pink, and the green and the green and the yellow. Yeah.
So welcome to the Morning Detour. So on Monday, everyone's supposed to go out in Quebec and vote for this provincial election that's happening. I want to open up here. How has the campaign been for you thus far?
So it's been a really good campaign. We started off with like a few issues that we started off with, but at the end of the day, we were able to present all the ideas of a renewed Liberal Party, meeting with a lot of people realizing as well that the current government is not doing it, is really dividing people. And we've been saying this all along, but I think it's getting obvious to people that we need to unite each other. Like we have to stop dividing Quebecers between French and English and indigenous people and the rest, and all this immigrant versus non-immigrant, and this is really hurting Quebec right now. And we want to change that. Like as liberals, we want to change that and want to make sure that everybody feels that they have a voice.
No, definitely. So on Monday, when Quebecers go to the poll, why should they vote Liberal? Why should they check off that box?
Because we are the only party that stood up against the government regarding Bill 21, regarding Bill 96. We voted against both bills because we really want to make sure that everybody has a voice, has a say, the only Federalist Party, and really focusing on the issues that are at stake. People have a hard time making ends meet. People have a hard time paying rent, choosing between paying rent and groceries and putting food on the table. And we have real solutions that are long-lasting solutions for everybody.
Okay. Now, I want to know, pull back the curtain for me. Let's be honest. I've been talking about this for a while. I said, when I get a real politician on the show, I want to know, within the province of Quebec, is the French language truly under attack? Or is this like some kind of linguistic boogeyman created by the CAQ to divide people?
No, I think it's true that we always have to think about the French language because we're 2% in North America. So there's always going to be a need to promote and protect the French language. But we can do this together. We don't have to divide the Quebecers. And it's not the fault of the specific people that they're pointing, that François Legault is pointing at and saying it's the fault of the English speakers or the immigrants. That has nothing to do with that. Yeah. And we can all come together. When I meet with the English speaking community, they all want to get involved, make sure that French is spoken. But at the end of the day, why do we need to divide each other on those issues?
See, I love that because, about division, it's like in my household, I'm multilingual. I'm Ukrainian, Nigerian. We speak English, we speak French, we speak Russian. And I love the fact that you mentioned that there's so much division. We need to bring communities and people together. It's so important to do that. I've been following your career for a very long time and watching that everything that you do. I'm just proud to see a Black woman being a part of this and doing this and having such a voice because it's very hard in a political form where it's very male dominated.
But you're right. You're right because politics is still male dominated, and we don't see as much diversity as we should. Like if you look at the candidates from the Liberal Party, you will see 30%. It's significant. 30% that are coming from visible minorities. So I was really happy in this election to see that people decided to raise their hand, said, okay, Dominique is going, why shouldn't I be running? Madoua Kadeh in Bourassa Sauvé, she's a phenomenal woman and Black woman. And I'm like, yes. And at the same time, it's not exclusive. We have Désirée Mégret here in MDG, great women deciding to run. I'm so excited. This is great. People can hear my pointing.
Is it an early recruitment for Lambo?
It is recruitment all the time when you see great people.
But if she runs for politics, she can't use Atlanta. She has to use Lambo. I want to see the posters that say Lambo on there.
That's my nickname here.
No, Miss Anglade, let me know if I'm wrong, because I'm taking this from the CBC website in terms of what all the parties were doing. It said that if elected, this is my question to you, why would the Liberal Party solely amend several provisions in Bill 96 opposed to just simply abolishing the bill altogether?
Oh, simply because, so first of all, we're going to repeal the notwithstanding clause, fix the issues around healthcare and fix the issues around immigration.
Okay, so you guys are going to repeal it.
We're going to fix all, because it's a flawed bill. It's a flawed bill that needs to be fixed.
100%.
We want to keep the elements around free English classes free French classes, to people that need this everywhere in Quebec. So there are elements that are positive. The only thing is, like, all the other ones are just terrible, and that's where we need to we just need to remove them. We just need to repeal those and fix that bill.
Well, you heard her say it. You heard it. I just want her to say it so I can say no. Lambo.
Yeah, when it comes to policing, my question is for you. If elected, your party would increase the number of police officers. How would you justify this action when Indigenous and Black people are being stopped more than their Caucasian counterparts?
So many things about this. First of all, we need to address the issue of systemic racism. The first thing we need to do is to say, hey, it does exist. Let's recognize it. Let's move forward. One of the key issues right now, it's not recognized at all by François Legault, and is really dividing the population on this topic that is really important. Secondly, yes, increase police forces, but increase prevention, increase support to communities, to organizations that are working with the communities. And we know that these organizations desperately need more money, but not only more money, like more people, because the last 3 years have been extremely hard on those organizations. So we need to do both at the same time. And if I think of my own writing, you have police forces that are really involved in the community. When talk about uniting each other, doing this is what we need to do. Recognizing that we have systemic racism, discrimination, and that we need to work on this together as well. That's how I would approach it.
I do have an in-between question, because we were having this discussion that Weezy brought up that's extremely important. I'm a domestic abuse survivor. I was out during the rally, during the femicides. I led one of the marches during the femicides for Rebecca Harry. I shared my journey and my story of abduction and survival. Now, the issue that I'm having, that I've been calling Legault out for many, many years on national television, written him letters on, you're injecting $285 million into programs and services, but you're not changing legislation, because we have to change legislation in order to arm the police to be able to come in and protect the victims. What is your plan in being able to change, what's happening as far as legislation goes and the program services and allocating budgets towards protecting women, because we're still losing a lot of women.
We're still losing a lot of women, and we're losing them despite the fact, if I think of the latest situation we had, the latest tragedy we had, despite the fact that they go to the police, despite the fact that they find a shelter, despite the fact that they go to the CLSC and they say, I need help. And still you see women being killed, being abused. So absolutely, if anything we can do to move forward in terms of legislation, anything we can do to support women, anything that we that needs to be taken care of, we should totally doing this. And you will find a strong voice in myself leading this, because that's why we also need women in politics. Women in politics, they bring a different perspective. They bring an understanding of what's going on. I don't have your history, but I can tell you one thing, the environment that we're creating is an environment where we're going to have people that can speak up about those things. I was talking this week to Brigitte Garceau, who's one of our candidates. She spent decades being involved with women in domestic abuse. So there are many, many voices that are going to be able to speak up for women.
I'm so happy to hear that.
No, listen, I speak up, man.
It's been a plight for me for a long time, trying to understand what's happening to women, and we're seeing women being murdered. And since I was telling Weezy, since 1996, when I went through domestic violence, legislation hasn't changed, and I've been fighting and using my voice to try and educate people and trying to educate politicians to say, listen, I'm a survivor. I know what's lacking in the system, because I went through the system. I was turned away by shelter several occasions with my son in my arms. So we need to be able to create the change. I'm a survivor, and we need to show women that you can survive this.
This is go back to women like you should be. That's why we need them to run in politics.
We need a machine to multiply her.
That's what we absolutely need to do. And you know, the current situation, labor shortage, we don't have enough people in our education system. Is really suffering from it. Healthcare is suffering from it. The different organizations are really lacking people. And what that does is the women are really supporting the social net that we have. And they are the ones hurting right now. So this leads to also more stress, more violence, more domestic violence. Right? It's a vicious cycle that we have to break. Right?
So we polled our community and our listeners in terms of what topic was the most important to them, and healthcare was the number one. She's like, just say. It's very surprising. 1.5 million people don't have a family doctor. Quebec has one of the lowest population-based hospital capacities amongst G7 countries. We have a surgery backlog.
Yes.
Like, it's mind-boggling. In a developed country, over 150,000 people are awaiting surgeries. That's why, like, when I read that, you know, that tells me that's someone that can die right now because they didn't get the surgery on time. That's scary. So a lot of people are worried about healthcare. I know the Quebec Liberal Party, you guys have a lot of ideas, but let's start here. Is our Quebec healthcare system, is it truly broken? Or can we fix this, and how?
Well, there's many elements that are broken. Absolutely. I mean, you name them all, basically. But yes, it can be fixed if you have the vision and if you have the ambition to fix it. Right now, like back in 2018, there were 400,000 Quebecers waiting for a family doctor. Now, as you said, it's over 1 million people right now waiting for a family doctor. And François Legault is saying, you know, that's life. You know, we can't fix it. And we're going to try to find different ways. And I totally disagree with that. We have people that have chronic diseases. We have people that live with mental issues, mental health issues. They need to see somebody. They need to be taken care of by a family doctor right now. But we can do this by not only increasing the number of doctors and nurses that we have, but also recognizing diplomas, allocating doctors differently in the territory of Quebec, making sure that you have activities that are currently being done by family doctors in hospital that would be done in a clinical environment. So there are many steps that we can take. But in order to do this, you have to have a political will to make it happen. And now what I see is not only he doesn't want to do it, he's talking about introducing a private in the whole system. It is terrible. We're never going to get to it if we don't have the ambition to fix it, and we have all the ideas.
Okay, I thought it was a tax issue. I didn't know it was just an ambition thing. I have a lot of friends that are nurses. They want me to ask you, because in your party said if you're elected, you would eliminate mandatory overtime for nurses, and that's a big deal for our money. So I want you to expand on that. And also, you're going to reduce staff-patient ratios. So if you can elaborate on that a little bit for us.
It's actually nice the way you brought it up, because you said like eliminating the overtime that's mandatory and the ratio of number of patients to practitioners. That's exactly what we have to do. We presented a bill 2 years ago where we said we need to have those ratios implemented, and at the same time eliminating the overtime, the mandatory overtime. But you have to do both. You have to send the message that you know where you're headed, that the conditions are going to be improved, that you pass a bill where you say, like, if you are a nurse, you don't have to work with more than so many patients, and then you eliminate at the same time the overtime that's mandatory. Women are desperately supporting on our healthcare system right now, and it's going crazy. So if you're not doing this, they're just going to keep leaving our institutions, and with the results that you see today.
We can't keep no professionals here.
Political will to fix it, passing a bill around the ratios, making sure that we can at the same time eliminate the mandatory overtime.
My question for you is about the indigenous people.
Well, today,
that's very important.
Choose a reconciliation.
It's a very important day. My great grandfather was Cree, so when I look at indigenous issues, the question that most were asking is, what is the Quebec Liberal Party going to do to change the fact that indigenous people are treated like third-class citizens in a country where they are First Nations?
So let's go back to, well, we can go back. We can go way back when, but today is a day of reconciliation, first of all. So a good day to reflect. If we go back to what happened to Joyce Echaquan, or even before that, we all committed at the National Assembly that we would move forward from that point on. And unfortunately, we're not able to, because the fact that we don't even recognize systemic racism is the first step to establish the right dialogue. So the first thing we would do is to recognize the principle of Joyce Echaquan, principle that recognizes systemic racism, and that is une feuille de route, that is a plan to say, let's focus on education, let's focus on healthcare, let's work together. So that's what a liberal government would do. We would start by doing that, and work with people. When I heard, the first debate, the one thing that I thought was more shocking is the comment of François Legault when he said, "Oh, Joliette, I talked to the husband, it's all fixed." Like,
I know.
That's how
my
this
God,
works.
I
couldn't believe it.
I could not believe it. I'm like, but how, you totally disconnected from what's going on and from what we have to accomplish. It is complicated. It goes really deep. Decades, centuries of history. I called them.
Yeah, one call saved it all.
I called Tony around the way, and everything was solved.
So it is really something that you have to feel in your core values, that you want to fight for, that you want to stand for. That's what I'm a daughter of immigrants, right? Like making sure that we value everybody, making sure that we value diversity, that everybody's at the table. I mean, this is my core values, right? That's what we would do. Maybe one more thing. It is important. And the last day of the campaign, I'm going to be in north of Quebec with Tununa Partuk, because there are lots of things happening in the indigenous communities that we don't see because it's really far from here, but they still belong to Quebec.
They do, and there's no running water in a lot of communities. There's a lot of issues. We need to treat them. This is their land. This is their. I mean, our people should be treated better. And when I'm seeing this, I'm like, how could we have no running water? I can't even imagine living. We're not in a third world country. I lived in Nigeria for a few years. I was doing programs over there, and you have issues with running water, and we're here. Not in a third world country, and people don't have running water to cook, to clean, to bathe their children. I don't understand.
No, it's crazy. I've been dying to ask you this question from since François Legault said it. How does this play out when you guys are at the National Assembly, when you guys are at the big house, we call it, when he's saying on media that there's no systemic racism in Quebec and you're black? Like what? Because I want the insights. When you're around other politicians on your level, that's a pretty crazy statement. Because I'm black and I live in this, and I'm born here, and every day I deal with it.
And they say things that are completely way out of line all the time. I mean, this is, but you're talking about systemic racism. It's one thing. But the comments about immigration and violence, the comments about committing suicide if we welcome more people in Quebec, I mean, all those comments are they're just one after the other, and that's what I'm telling people. That's all he does. He divides people constantly making those comments, and he can't hide behind, this week it was Jean Boulet, but he can't hide behind Jean Boulet. Jean Boulet is just saying something that is
just crazy.
It's crazy, but he feels that he can say those things because he hears also what the premier is saying that is really just as bad as what he said, right? So, it just gives me even more reason to be in politics. But I would love for people to see all this and say, okay, then we have to mobilize ourselves, then we have to go vote, then we have to, here in NDG, we have to support Desiree Migrat, and we have to support strong voices. That's why we need to get the vote out for people to say, we don't agree with this. There is a better Quebec. There is a better way to work together.
I personally believe we need change. We've been doing it the same way for a long time. My feelings for Legault have always been, I've been very open about it for years. I've said it on the news many times when I was asked about how I feel about him and his policies and what he's doing and the lack thereof what he's doing and the lack of respect that he has for individual human beings. I've been very open about it. For me, I look at change, and that's what we need. We need a strong woman. We need a strong black woman to have that voice and create the change. I personally believe that's the opportunity we need to look at and say, you know what? you are looking and you have a lot to face and a lot to deal with because Legault has ripped apart and torn apart this province.
Yeah.
And, what would you like to say to the Black community? Because a lot of our listeners come from the BIPOC community. What would you say to them? Do their voices matter? Should they come out and vote? Because a lot of the time they're not educated enough or about politics. They don't know enough. And they feel like, you know what? It's okay. Or they have children. Like I have children over 18 years old. They already went to do their early voting. Yeah. Because they know me. I push them. I'm like, go vote. Get out there. Your voice matters.
I would say get involved. Get involved. Come and see, come and participate in the events that we have. Come and meet the younger generation of people that want to get involved. Yesterday, I was talking to a young woman called her name was Emily, and she said, how do we influence things? Right now, Emily, we're going to take your name down. You're going to come to the next event. You're going to participate. You're going to bring the issues that matter to you, so we can put them in a program. Make sure that you participate in events. I mean, this is what we need. We need people to get involved, and we need people to go vote to make their voice heard.
Listen, we got to vote, but I think we paid all the bills. I think I have enough time to play some games with you. We're going to play some games. So as Lambo sets up the game, I don't know if we're going to play this or that. Get to know you a little bit more on a personal level. But I want to ask you the toughest question ever.
Toughest question ever? I'm all stressed out here.
No, me. No. The toughest question. I myself, I'm Haitian as well. My dad's Haitian and my mom's Grenadian. You're Haitian as well. There's a debate I have on the show, and sometimes people get mad. So I was like, maybe I shouldn't ask this. I don't want to distract voters. But I'm like, it's a funny thing. Who makes the best rice, Miss Anglade? Because I always say Haitians have the best rice.
Oh, but for sure. But there's no question about this. It's either du riz collé or du riz collé or du riz à sauce pois. I mean, one of the two. But
quelle sauce?
Sure.
Quelle sauce? Quelle couleur?
Ah non, la sauce rouge. La sauce pour les pois rouges.
But see, Miss Anglade, she's fancy. She like the red sauce. that was a little extra at Millie Mello. Ma chérie, now we can't get. Do you like I'm gonna mess it up. The mushroom rice.
Oh, Jonjon. My sister cooks phenomenal Jonjon. She's phenomenal.
I have a show coming in the fall called Cooking with Jacques, where I go to different people's house and I cook. I'm coming to your house. I'm a Reese fiend. I'll rob a bank for some rice. I'll join the political party. I'll become a liberal. Who has the rice? Can you make a good rice, Miss Anglade?
I can make a good rice. Just for you. But the Jonjon rice, that's the thing. The Jonjon rice, I think Jonjon you can only find in Haiti. I mean, I've never seen anybody cook Jonjon rice.
Yeah, the mushrooms are expensive when it comes here. It's always the one that's marked up on the board when you go to the Haitian restaurant. They done marked out the original number. It doesn't go up every month. It doesn't go up. Do you make a griot?
Honestly, no, I can't.
So I'm gonna turn back.
So maybe my sister can do that. I mean, this is pretty my parents were really good cooks. Both of them were really good cooks, and unfortunately, I didn't take those qualities.
Well, you got the quality to lead, so we're in the right place. I don't know what game she's going to play. I'm just here for the jokes.
We're going to do this so that, because I'm really intrigued, because when we ask these questions, we play games with every one of our guests to get to know them a little bit better. And like this, people can get to know you a bit better. Smartest person in the world or the richest person in the world? What would you rather be?
Smartest or better? Smartest.
Over rich?
Huh?
Smartest over being rich?
But for sure. Mm-hmm. Because you can influence things. You can, I mean, if you give me two choices, I'll take the smart.
So that tells me she doesn't want to take no shortcuts. I'm going to give the Dr. Phil a response to the answers.
You see? Logic or emotion?
Emotion. Although I'm a logical person, I'm a very logical person.
I'm a very logical person.
But it's all about emotion. It's all about how you feel, how you make people feel emotion.
Speaking on emotion, I'm always admired all the fire you take and how you just always smiling. Any picture you see, you're smiling. Anytime I see you on TV, you're smiling.
Yeah.
A lot of people, in our hip hop community, talk about hating. I could deal with people not being with me. But on the political level, how do you deal with when you wake up? There's thousands and thousands of messages against you. Like, how do you emotionally cope with all of that?
Because you know what you stand for. Mm. You know why you're in politics. You know the values that you want to bring. So. And it's also the way I was brought up. Like you have challenges, you face them, and you move on, and you move on, and you stand up, and you move on. So that's just the personality that I have. And when you're aligned with your values, when you're aligned with why you're doing something, I think it's much better. So you go and you keep fighting. You keep fighting back. until you win.
Until you win.
And then you work again.
She went to Marie France. Marie France, people that went to Marie France are really smart and everything's beautiful, so you're good.
I told you the first time I met Dominique Anglade is I met you at the BLM rally. Yeah. And I told you she's down to earth.
Yeah, she's cool.
She's always smiling, always, and that's what I love about you is that you're like, you know what? It's going to, it is what it is. I'm here to stay. I'm working hard. I'm here for the community. I get it. Because when I used to do my advocacy work, people are like, how do you take that? How do you stand up? I'm like, you just go. When it's in your blood, it's your passion. You just go after it. It doesn't matter what people say.
But everybody doesn't have that. So you guys don't understand. Everybody doesn't have that. That's why I brought it up. To show people it's simpler than they think. It's all a mental state of mind.
But when you get into this, it's not that it's not going to be easy. I didn't go in politics thinking, hey, this is going to be super easy. I'm going to lead the Liberal Party and that's going to be so easy for me. It's going to be a walk in the park. I never thought that, right? I knew it was going to be tough. And I decided to go anyway because I thought the fight was worth it. And it is worth it.
Was it always your goal to be a leader of the Liberal Party? Or you're just like, on va prendre ça comme ça vient? On va prendre ça comme ça vient.
No, I didn't think so at the beginning. When I entered politics with the Liberal Party, I was elected MNA and then I became a minister. I didn't think that I was going to be a leader of the Liberal Party. And then, people started talking to me, said, Dominique, you would be a good leader. And you're like, no, I don't think so. Well, maybe. And if I were a leader, this is what I would do. And then, it's something that you get it's an idea that you have to get used to. It's not something that I just knew from the get-go.
Okay. So you had no more. Just give it two more. I don't know who I got to look at for the time. Are we good on time? This all good?
I don't know. Nobody's got.
No, we're done. So I'll just close up. Montreal, I say we've been speaking with Quebec Liberal Party leader, Mrs. Dominique Anglade. It's been a pleasure. You're really funny. It's good to know your personal.
You know what? I would love to come back. I would love to come back. This is a nice place.
No, you'll meet the owner. He's downstairs, Chandel. Yeah, he's graceful enough to let us do our show from here every Friday. Yeah. It's much better than CK18. No shame to McGill. It's just kind of dark over there.
Yeah, we have a lot of lights.
I need windows. I need to beat, and I want to be in my community. I want to be close to my people. But on Monday, we're voting for provincial elections. Please, people, let's come out and vote. Get informed. Understand who's the leader or your MNA of your riding. Ms. Anglade, do you have any final words to the voters, prospective voters?
Go vote. Go vote. And go vote for the Liberal Party. I mean, go for the Liberal Party because you're never gonna get a leader that wants to work more with people, that's more dedicated. And if you want to organize events, I'm all for it. If you want to go for something that's really fun, I'm all for it. But at the end of the day, we have to unite each other. And it's the Liberal Party that can do this. Go vote.
Can we make a rager? If you win, you need to come back and we dance one compas song together.
Oh, we can dance. Oh,
hold on. I'm going to answer the question.
Are you a good dancer?
Listen, we don't have enough time. I'm only half facing, so I'm working on my compas too.
We have a deal.
We have a deal. So if you win, you'll come back and we'll dance one compas song.
For sure.
Okay.
For sure.
Now y'all got to get out and vote. And you know how I feel, everybody.
Well, listen, her sister looks serious. It looks like the rice is good. It's always the serious Haitian sibling that have the good rice. I'm where the good rice is at. This has been beautiful, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.